Question.
Yeah. What's up?
Okay, so do you know trans doesn't mean to transition?
Trans doesn't mean to transition. I mean,
No, it doesn't mean transition. It's just describing the incongruence between the gender and the sex.
yeah.
It doesn't
well,
mean to
hold on. Why are
transition.
you
People often
pro-gender?
talk about themselves being, oh, I'm going through my transition. But being trans itself does not literally mean, oh, I'm transitioning my gender. That's not how it works,
Well,
because
why
our
do trans
gender,
people say, like, oh, I'm starting my transition?
our gender for everyone, regardless of the fact of whether you're cis or trans, is something that develops internally. Just because you don't present yourself a certain way for however many years of your life because you didn't realize you were trans, or you didn't have the means to be able to have your gender affirming care, whether it be through surgery or through social or medical, etc., it does not mean literally to transition. It's just describing the incongruence between the gender and the sex, and cis would be describing the congruence between the gender and the sex.
Okay, so you use the terms gender and sex, okay? I don't see those as different.
Okay,
How do
are you
see those
female?
as different?
No, first of all, you do, because I gave you an exact analogy in which the social construct showed itself, right? You wouldn't call
I
a
agree
dog.
that
You wouldn't
gender
call a
roles exist,
dog.
bro, but I don't think that it's called
No, you said
It's
gender. You said
roles,
gender, not gender
dumbass.
roles.
It's
Right,
gender roles. That's what
Okay,
it is.
okay,
you
hold on,
female?
hold
Give
on.
me the symmetry breaker.
Hold on. If you're gonna start going ad homs, you've already lost the debate.
No, because you guys aren't listening to what I'm saying, right?
We are,
I'm
that's
saying-
the problem.
I don't
Hold on.
care.
Are you
I don't
female?
care if you think we're not listening, right? So
yeah, so can you give me the
everybody's
symmetry
been
breaker between
quiet.
gender roles and gender?
Yes, if you don't call me a dumbass again, yeah, absolutely. If you want to have a respectful
Go
conversation,
ahead. Define both of them, please.
AG, can I ask her one question while she's calming
yeah, you
down?
can have her. Honestly, I'm
Just
just
define both of them.
Oh,
That's all I want.
I'm happy to go into that. I asked you a question beforehand, and I'd love to ask you about it. Are you female, if you don't mind me
Yes, I'm
asking?
female.
Okay, are you a woman?
Yeah, I'm a woman.
Okay, you've just
I'm an
acknowledged
adult,
the difference between gender and sex. Congratulations. Mazel tov. L'chaim.
No.
Yes, you did. Otherwise, you wouldn't. Otherwise, they would be the same, right? You wouldn't have to answer the other question with a yes. You would just say,
Oh, yeah,
I
no,
identify as female.
female-
I identify as a woman. It wouldn't be both.
Hold on. Female just means like part of the female sex, right? Like, so
Well,
a
female's
dog,
describing
hold
the
on,
sex,
a
female.
Dog, hold on. A dog could be a female, but when you ask me if I'm
Correct.
a woman, that's a different question, right?
Oh, so there's a
Because
difference between
I'm an
gender and
adult
sex?
Human female. That is true.
Wait. So gender and sex aren't synonymous? Because if I was to call myself a female, I could also then just be classified as a female dog, a female giraffe, a female penguin, etc., right?
Well, no. Okay, that doesn't mean that gender and sex are going to be different. Like, woman is still, under my worldview, like a sex-based term in regards to human adults, right?
So can I call a female dog a woman?
No, I just...
Why not?
What? You,
Because you said it's in regards to adults and
yeah, a woman is an adult
verbiage?
human female. So obviously, I'm not going to call a dog a woman. What the heck?
Right, but it's still a gendered term. It's still a term describing gender.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would call
I
a
just
dog
want
a female
social
dog.
I
a
have been
female
waiting
adult
for the
dog, a
definition
woman.
of gender and the definition of gender roles. Go ahead.
You want the definition of gender and the definition of gender roles?
Yes.
One is to describe someone's internal gender identity. Gender roles are roles as prescribed by the patriarchy.
Okay. So where do you think people get their internal sense of gender from?
I think there's
innate sense
I think
of
there's
self.
factors linked to sex. I think there's factors linked to socialization, and also factors linked to the society you come from, which again would be socialization. But I can expand on that point specifically, but I think it's going to change everywhere you go in the world. Like, for example, America would acknowledge the existence of, legally, they would acknowledge the existence of non-binary people, and unfortunately in the UK, they don't yet do that.
Yeah, I just don't see why this is relevant. This is just going to be an appeal to like legality, but I think that like what you're failing to realize.
It's an appeal
okay.
to sociology, not legality.
Hold on. I think what you're failing to realize, right, is males, they see what women do, right? They have oftentimes like womb envy, they have these like issues, and they're socialized as male, meaning they are socialized to view females as less than. And when they come into our spaces and don't listen to our voices when we say, hey, we don't want like males in our bathroom, right?
Can I ask what womb envy is? I'm not familiar with that term. because of that person's sex, they might not be able to they won't be able to experience those things.
Well, do you think trans women would desire to have children?
I think everyone can have the desire to have children, regardless of whether they're cis or trans.
Give birth.
Everyone will have different means in however they'll be able to have children.
Like give birth.
Can I have womb envy as a female because I'm infertile?
Oh, no, because it would be like a distinct thing. It would just be like more of a tragedy that you can't, do those things. Even though you have the right means to.
So why don't you owe a trans woman the same argument of it's a tragedy that unfortunately their sex is not what it's desired to be, and so they are experiencing potentially what you would refer to as womb envy?
Yeah, I would say that like the symmetry breaker there is, they were raised male. They were socialized male.
Right, but do you think
females? Yeah.
But again, I would agree in terms of worry around how people were socialized, because I think a lot of the issues that we see in our society today when it comes to sexism and misogyny and the patriarchy, etc., I'd all say that these are social factors, right? I wouldn't say that these are innate qualities to males, whereas I think you're going down a more what's the term?
No, I don't think it's innate in male nature. I think it's innate.
So you agree
in
it's an issue of socialization?
What?
So you agree it's an issue of socialization?
Yep, that applies to all males.
And do you think it's possible? Is it possible for a female to have internalized misogyny?
Absolutely, there are many.
So then this isn't an issue that is inherent to solely trans
you
women.
Think it's worse for...
Hang on, let me finish. I would argue then, if you agree with me, that it is possible for a female, an AFAB person to have these internalized issue like internalized misogyny, sexism, etc. It's possible then for these to be experienced by everyone. It's not inherent, and also I would say it's also possible to unpack these issues.
Okay, do you think that internalized misogyny that women have, and when I say women, you know what I mean, is going to be similar to like how it's imposed on men? Or do you think...
What, do I think it's going to manifest itself the same?
It's really nice when I can't finish talking. It's really nice.
Sorry, you asked me and then I just wanted to clarify. Go ahead.
No, I didn't even finish the question. What are you talking about?
I thought you did. My apologies. Go ahead.
Yeah, so here's the thing. All males are raised to have disdain for females and to... kind of speak over them, be, dominating over them. Is that true? Do you think?
I think a majority can be. I wouldn't say that all males are necessarily socialized in that way. I think there are factors in our media that could definitely be said where, all of these are impacting like young boys and young men and
Autumn, would you classify?
But can I just finish this one bit?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't think it's fair to say all, because I don't think it necessarily manifests itself that way.
Okay, you don't think it manifests itself that way in every case? Like when people are raised male to hold disdain for women, do you know how impactful our childhoods are on us?
I do. I'm well aware.
Yeah, so if it is the case that, they're consuming media that, says
but
that
then females are consuming the same media. And again, you agreed with me that this can manifest itself to be internalized.
Okay, internalized misogyny that women have only pushes forward agendas that allow males to attack women.
Which I think is just as dangerous. I wouldn't take away weight from that, Autumn. Sorry, AG.
So Autumn, do you think a part of the patriarchy, to be a part of the patriarchy for having toxic masculinity, you have to be homophobic?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
To be a part of the patriarchy is one criteria of toxic masculinity that plays into the patriarchy to be homophobic?
Yeah, I think it can have something to do with that, sure.
Okay, so wouldn't the symmetry breaker between gender and gender roles be the transgender part itself, right? Because they are breaking a gender role by being transgender itself.
Oh wait, how? Okay, they're really not. They're like following gender roles just of not the
No,
sex
no,
that they are
no, they're
assigned at
not.
birth.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Especially as a
Yes.
male, you're saying gender roles, right? You're saying gender roles and within the patriarchy. They are breaking the gender role by being transgender themselves.
I would disagree with that. They're following gender roles of an opposite sex. They're like trans women
How?
females and how they act.
I would disagree with you. I think that they come like in when you're saying gender role specifically. Give me a specific gender role in which they're following.
Yeah, like being submissive, dressing up, feminine.
How do you know they're submissive? How do you know they're submissive? Are you in bed with them?
No, definitely not.
Okay, cool. So from person to person, that changes ill-dependent on whether or not they're transgender. Correct?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, there's not going to be like one particular factor in which like determines if somebody's trans, but the male is going to, take his interpretation of what a woman is, on the basis of sex.
No. I think irregardless of your
Right, I love
gender,
being
I think irregardless of your gender, how you are submissive or not submissive is ill-dependent of your gender. Right? That is completely a preference.
But here's
not
the
even a
problem.
preference. It's out of your control.
Males are deciding what they think a woman is and acting accordingly.
I completely disagree with that.
Wait, then can you tell me, like, explain it to me in a different way, perhaps?
No, you're the one that made the claim. You explain why you think that.
Yeah. So, you're saying it's like this personal sense of identity, right? So their personal sense of identity is woman, right? And, woman, like, has something to do with, like, female traits, right? You would agree?
Female traits?
Yeah. Like, traits that are typically associated with females?
Not necessarily.
Wait, you don't think so?
Not necessarily, no. Not necessarily.
Well, then why do trans women tend to desire to, get breast implants, get bottom surgery, facial reconstruction surgery?
Do you understand what trans is? Do you understand, like, non-binary people are transgender? Do you understand intersex people are transgender?
Yeah, I mean, I think that non-binary people are really just, like, gender non-conforming.
They would fall under the trans category, though. Do you understand that?
Well, I mean, they technically...
You're specifically going after, like, a trans woman for very...
Oh, yeah,
very
because I don't want men in
particular-
my bathroom.
Yeah, because you're a TERF, I know.
Oh, I'm not a TERF.
You are a TERF.
I'm not a TERF. I just don't want men in my bathroom.
Okay, well, trans women are not at the risk that you think they are. I think if you actually if you actually cared about like men being in your bathroom, you should go after it, making it illegal for men in general just to go in the bathroom, because the majority of the people that go in and assault women in bathrooms are cishet men. So let's talk about the actual issue, because you don't actually give a fuck. And you're sitting up here and you're going to sit up here and talk about trans people as if you actually give a single fuck about saving women and saving women in the bathrooms. If that was the case, why is 92% of all rape done by cishet men? Why is 88% of all child rape done by cishet men? Let's talk about the actual issues here. And you want to sit here and act like you're saving somebody or saving something as if you're some fucking feminist. And you're fucking not, because if you actually gave a fuck, you'd care about the actual statistics, which are not on your side. They're on our side, right? Every fucking health organization backs us. When we talk about violent crimes, it's cis-het men. You don't give a single shit about women, because if you did, again, you would be looking at the actual statistics of actual men that are doing this. You don't care about men or women. Sorry.
Yeah, but like you would agree, like the cis-het men are male. They were socialized male, right?
Shut the fuck up. All you fucking care about is winning a debate. And I'll tell you this. So I hate fucking debating with you fucking TERFs, because one, you don't give a fucking shit about women, and you never fucking have. Because you're going to sit up here and all you care about is being able to deconstruct through a philosophical argument transgender people and how they are and how they live as actual people on this fucking planet. It is ridiculous that you want to sit up here as like, I'm glad it's funny to you. These are actual people that are actually affected. Your rhetoric does nothing because of the statistics don't backcheck shit that you fucking say. You could sit up here with like specifically all these philosophical arguments to try and make yourself seem smarter. The statistics don't fucking lie, and they're not on your fucking side. So be on the right side of history or grow the fuck up. It's ridiculous that you want to sit up here. It's ridiculous you want to sit up here and act like you're on some fucking moral high ground as a feminist when you're not. You're not, because look at the actual fucking statistics and they're not on your side.
Okay.
Sorry, Lex.
No, you're good.
Real quick.
I have two questions.
Yeah,
What feminism do you subscribe to if you're not a TERF?
Well, I would be a radical feminist.
Right, you realise radical feminism extends to trans women, so I don't think you would be.
No,
Yes,
that's
it does.
just like, because you have to be gender critical to be a radical feminist, yeah.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say that you're a TERF. Are you a bioessentialist?
Am I no, I'm not a bioessentialist. Do you know what
How?
that means? It means I ascribe certain traits to certain sexes. That's what it means.
But that's
So
what you're
a
doing to solely
bioessentialist,
males.
actually.
No, I'm not. How on earth? I don't
Because you think that
these are
females act a
inequalities.
particular way and males can act that way and then they're women.
No, I think that I wouldn't say that I'm a bioessentialist at all. You realise that would be describing that they are innate. I don't think they're innate. I think the things that you're talking about are issues in our wider society, and I would say that that's down due to socialization.
Oh, yeah, like you think that these things happen due to socialization? Yeah, I agree.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
Either way, males
But I
are
don't
raised
think you
to
actually
hate
agree with
females.
that. You're trying to
That's
describe
just the
that they're
case.
innate. If you understood that
can
it was
you
an
name
issue of
gender-based oppression that's
socialization,
not just about
if you
trans
understood
people?
it was an issue of socialization, then you would acknowledge that people can unpack these things that they have learnt, and that they can also not strictly adhere to what is the stereotypical roles that they have been assigned just because of their gender identity, or how they might have presented themselves to be until they realised their gender identity was not what they originally
Why
thought
can't they
it
just be
was.
feminine? I don't understand why they feel the need to act like women and call themselves women. That's just like, if you feel like
Wouldn't that also be gender roles? Hold on. How do we determine femininity?
Crash out.
How do we determine femininity?
yelling. You interrupt me. You don't let me
You
talk.
called me a dumbass. Absolutely, I'm gonna cross
Oh,
the
yeah,
fuck out on
because
you
you
because
are
you
a
don't
dumbass.
actually fucking care, Autumn.
don't even
You
know
don't
the difference
actually
between
fucking
gender
care.
roles,
You
idiot.
don't actually give a fuck about anything. You don't care about women. You don't give a fuck about anything. You just said femininity, right? So in what way, if they are expressing themselves in a feminine way, wouldn't that be classified as gender roles under your fucking worldview, you dumbass?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I will agree that in this patriarchal society, right, it is the case that sometimes people act in a particular way that's in accordance with certain sexual characteristics. However, that does not mean that they are fucking women. That means they are feminine men.
In addition to recognising the importance of trans rights and LGBTQIA+ rights for achieving full liberation for all women, radical feminists argue for intersectional approach when it comes to representation within feminist organisations and movements. Claim your title. You are a TERF. You are not a radical feminist. You are a trans
They just hate the word TERF now. They just hate the word TERF now. They don't
As
want to be
trans
associated with it.
exclusionary,
She is a
They're not
TERF.
as
She is a
trans
TERF.
exclusionary
No.
at the beginning of your radical feminism, because that is what you are.
Your entire fucking page is just trans exclusionary shit. By the way, you are a TERF. You're a TERF.
No,
Go
I'm not.
catch the wall. Go catch the
And you're
wall.
a bioessentialist.
Go catch the fucking wall.
On this day of all days, Jesus.
Hello?
What's up? I'll do.
I'm 19.
What year, month you were born?
November
Yeah.
2005.
Cool.
Okay. You think being lesbian, being LGBTQ plus is wrong?
No. But I do think the T in LGBTQ is odd. Why I think it's odd?
Okay, well, that's an appeal to emotions. I don't care if you think it's odd.